You're listening to Scratching and Thriving, a lifestyle podcast hosted by two dope professionals who are passionate about empowering people to thrive. I'm Dr. A.
And I'm Brandon. And we are two longtime friends who met about 20 years ago during undergraduate studies. And we took two different paths in life. I'm a healthcare executive and lifestyle guru.
And I'm an educator and entrepreneur.
And we are here to bring you the content that will help you thrive.
What's up, y'all? This is Jessica Ray, and you are listening to Scratching and Thriving with Dr. A and Brandon.
Hey, Brandon.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. How's your week?
So far, so good.
Good.
How's your week?
Got afraid through this week, but it's okay. We survived it. We almost survived it. We will, though. It'll be fine.
Telling you, COVID are all on the rise everywhere.
Yeah, and we're waiting on the holidays. Well, even though I'm on call, it does still equal somewhat of a break.
Oh, yeah, it's a big break for me, so I'm real excited.
Well, look at God. What do you do?
Mm-hmm. Every time.
Every single time. Now, see, here, okay. So, I took a small little break because I'm not going home Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to spend some time at Made in Music Entertainment at their studios. Because, we interviewed Brandon Lewis and we interviewed Porcelain. So you remember doing an interview when we interviewed Brandon, he was talking about his duet with Jessica Ray, Back in Love.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to preview that. It was actually pretty awesome. It reminds me of the new Eric Benet and Tamia.
Uh-huh. Oh, the song. You got to preview the song. Mm-hmm.
The song. Yeah, the song's good.
It's a nice beat. Yeah, I like it. The rhythm.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And it's a little bit different from the things you typically have heard from Brandon. So, we had a really good interview last week with him. And then after listening to that, you and I discussed maybe interviewing Jessica Ray.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did a little background on her.
Mm-hmm.
And super educated. I was really impressed. Multiple master's degrees. She actually has a musical family, which a lot of people in Memphis have a musical family. It's we just kind of grew up in that culture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was just really, really super impressive to just read about.
Right. Yeah, I did a little bit of digging too. She is. You talked a little bit about this too, the triple threat piece and all of that.
Yeah.
With the singing, the writing, the dancing, entertaining. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And, she likes to be referred to as entertainer, which I agree with because she doesn't just sing. She doesn't just songwrite. She doesn't just dance. She's like the complete package. And she's also a philanthropist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She's done hosted and performed at several benefits to benefit performers and songwriters and dancers, all that have been affected by COVID. So, yeah, she's really she's solid.
You're right.
I dig her. her. Well, Thrivers, we want to welcome Jessica Ray. She is a triple threat. She is a singer, songwriter, and dancer. Jessica, welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Now, tell us a little bit about Jessica Ray, the artist.
So, of course, my name is Jessica Ray, recording artist. I am from Memphis, Tennessee.
That's right.
My hometown. Love this place. Always going to represent it. Same kind of old story. Grew up doing the gospel thing. I was in choirs. I was in several groups. A lot of people actually don't know growing up.
So, yeah, Sound Fusion.
I was in Sound Fusion at the U of M, which is where I got my bachelor's and my master's from.
Yes. Educated triple threat.
We
love it.
I gotta stay educated about what I'm doing.
That's right.
I know that's right.
And so, and then just time went on and I realized this is really what I wanted to do. And then I got signed to Made in Memphis and everything else is where it is now. We've been releasing music and I've been really, really honing in on my sound and my craft and just trying to be as authentically me as possible. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Now, we want to first thank Made in Memphis Entertainment for allowing us to interview Jessica today. And Jessica, so I grew up in Memphis too.
Okay.
And Memphis is based around music. And music is everywhere. Gospel, hip
Everywhere.
hop, rap, soul. So tell me, growing up in Memphis, how has it inspired your music?
Oh, it's definitely okay. So this is crazy, right? So you would listen to the type of music that I'm doing now and say, oh, she's not from Memphis. She's doing all this dance pop kind of, influence music. But the entertainment part is where I think I got from Memphis. Maybe not so much like the blues itself, but just that
Right.
entertainment part because we're some entertainers in Memphis.
And that's true. That's
I
true. Like
mean,
Ruby Wilson, all of
come
them.
on, Al Green. I
Yep.
mean, they're entertainers. So I think that's kind of where I thrive. And then my dad, he's a musician. He's a
Oh,
bass
okay.
player, and he recorded a lot down in Malaco Records. But he used to do sound. Yeah, he used to do sound for Al Green. But I don't know if you know the songs like "Ring My Bell."
Yep.
He played bass
Anita
on
Ward.
that. Yes, he played bass on that and Down Home
So,
Blues.
yeah,
So
so Ring My Bell was sang by Anita Ward. She's a graduate of 1974 Southside High School with my mother.
yes,
They were best
really,
friends. Yep, they were best friends growing up.
wow,
I think
wow.
she's in Memphis now. She's an educator now, I think.
I think so. She is in Memphis. We actually got her. My dad had a 65th birthday party about 5 years ago, and she actually came and
Oh,
sang "Ring My
really?
Bell." Yes,
The
Nice.
it was
small
really
world.
awesome. Right. So yeah, I've kind of just grown up around that world. So it's definitely been a part. Like I said, maybe not necessarily like the blues and gospel influences, but just that entertainment
Right.
type of aspect. Yes, I've definitely been influenced by.
Right. So I just listened to a exclusive from you,
Okay.
Fingertips.
Oh.
Yeah. So tell us about that because I like that little that was a good little jam. I like that one.
Well, thank you. So the fact that you brought up Memphis and how it influenced me, that's probably the closest
I would say,
compared,
yep.
right? If you listen to the other music
Hmm.
that I've released, this is probably the closest thing to R&B that I've actually done. But I love it. I really like it. I love
I
this
did. I
record.
like that beat. Like I was
Yes,
really digging that because Adrian and I was listening to it. I was like, this is a little bit different than what I'm hearing from her. And I was like, I
right.
like this. I like that
Well,
little
I'm so
jam.
glad. Thank you. And the bass player that played on it. He's actually from Memphis, and he's been on tour with the likes of like Demi Lovato, and
Oh,
so
nice.
yeah, so he's super dope, and we've known each other since college. But he happened to be in town. I was like, hey, can you come? Come
I know
put
that's
your
right.
thing on that, right?
Right.
So he's on it. So yeah, it was really fun and different for me. It was kind of outside of my comfort zone, but I liked it. I liked it.
I
So
did like it.
yeah, so
It
we're gonna
does
have a couple
have
more.
a R&B feel. How would you describe your music as a whole? Like how, because you said that's the closest thing you've done to R&B. So how would you describe your music?
So it seems as though I'm getting into this kind of like ride with me for a second. So like this soul urban pop thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Because even
Hmm.
I don't know if you heard My Name, which came
I
out
Mm-hmm.
before
did.
this.
I did. I
Like
like that one too.
that's even more soulful than the first one, which was Whatever and Lock. And it's getting more into the music may have a dance quality around it, but we're making sure to keep my vocals as soulful as possible.
Right.
So it's kind of
Right.
giving this mixture here.
You know what? Deep though. I think that's when you started to transition into that
Oh yeah.
soulful piece. It's deep.
Yeah, we got a little we turned up a little bit for Deep. And I actually
I
shot the
like deep
video.
though.
I shot the video in South Memphis.
I saw that. I
Yes.
was familiar. I said,
Yes,
look at her go ahead, Memphis.
my grandmother stays right up the street on Wilson Street.
Oh wow.
And yes, so we shot it right there. I was like, I don't know, Deep just gives me this vibe. I need to be in my hometown. It was gritty. It was the grungiest thing I've ever done. And I wanted the video to, display that. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, but
It
you're
was
right. That
nice.
was the transition for sure.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna tell you, I looked at a lot of your videos and research preparation for the interview, and you do dance. You dance a lot.
Something like that.
I'm telling you, you are truly a triple threat. So you
I appreciate
dancing
it.
and you singing, and is it true you songwrite?
Yes.
Okay, so
Um,
what have you written lately?
so actually, the last two songs you heard was written by a young man named Felly, and
Okay,
he kind of works with Black Elvis. So Felly is incredible. He just wrote a couple songs for Mario that's on the charts, and
Mm-hmm.
a few other people. Like he's incredible. But the first four songs you heard were songs that I co-wrote on. So we're still pumping out stuff. I'm still writing stuff, but I love the direction that Felly has me going in as far as vocally and even the subject matter. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm even because you never stop learning, right? Like I'm never going to
correct.
say I'm the best songwriter. So I'm like, okay, what is he doing? How does he do this? How can I make my experiences, vibe with how he's writing for me? So that's kind of the era I'm in right now. Just like really learning how to up my game as far as songwriting. Because yeah, he's pretty
So,
dope.
speaking of learning, you do have a master's degree. Is it in music or performance?
So it's actually in music performance and journalism. So I
Wow.
got what you call a liberal studies degree because for what I do specifically, they don't give degrees in becoming a recording artist.
Right.
Right.
So I had to figure out, okay, what could I use or what could I do or study in that I could kind of benefit from? And so that was music performance, which is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then journalism, I figured, I don't have a plan B, but I was like, if I
If.
had to have a plan B, then, I thought writing for, a music publication or,
Right.
even doing what you guys are doing, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's super dope, just staying in that field. But as I've kind of gone on with my career and learned things, like to be honest, like being a creative director is something that I'm really, really enjoying. So
Mm-hmm.
like the My Name you saw and the Deep and all of that stuff, was under my creative direction. I don't know if you saw Raw, which is the virtual
Mm-hmm.
concert I did.
I was about to
That was
bring it
under that.
up.
Yeah, that was under my creative direction. So I'm really like,
Wow.
I'm into that. That's what I'm really into. And so I don't know, I may go back and get a degree or go back to school for something like that.
So, first of all, my hat's off to you for Raw.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Raw was a stellar cinematography performance
Mm-hmm.
with music. It
Thank
was
you.
fantastic, and it was to a good cause too. So, kind of tell
Right.
us about what Raw supported. What is Raw and what it is support?
So it stands for, of course, Real Artists Working. And it's crazy because when I first came up with the idea, Raw was not the name of the show. I had put out four songs. We're in a conversational state, right?
Right, right,
So I put out four songs and I was like, I need a way to promote these four songs. I haven't done anything to promote these four songs. People probably forgotten about it. But as I was going, I was like, COVID had really hit and all of this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And I noticed a lot of my friends talking about how they were out of work and they weren't able to do live shows anymore. And a lot of my friends are also like on tours with Christina Aguilera's and the Stevie Wonders and all this stuff. So their stuff had been shut down. Beale Street, as
mm-hmm.
is a huge place for especially unknown artists to go and sing. That was shut down. So we didn't have anything. And somebody came up with the idea titled Raw, but we still didn't have that part done, figured out yet. And I was like, Real Artists Working. That's dope. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's when it kind of came about like, you know what? Anything we can do financial wise to go back to at first mainly the people that worked on the set, I think would be dope because all those people there were out of jobs. Almost all of those people
Right,
there.
I think
right.
people
So
forget that. People
Yep.
forget
right,
that this is an industry where people, they thrive on being social and being in settings with each other. A lot of artists got flack for hosting virtual shows and charging and things like that because people had this kind of misconception that they had all this money and they were doing so well and they didn't think about the people behind the scenes. They didn't think
Right.
about the people who support the work and even some of the artists themselves. Some
Right.
of them live check to check. You can't assume. So I think what you did was really dope, highlighting that the need for people to support the art, the work, and the legacy of this industry during this time.
I mean, even, and I thought about possibly even doing one once a year, just dedicated to that because it even goes beyond the pandemic. People have to
Mm-hmm.
realize artists don't have health care. We don't
Yep.
have, necessarily life insurance policies that we pay into and retirement funds and all of that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like whatever we're saving, we're working for. And if we don't work, we have no money. Like we don't get vacation, paid days
Right.
off and all that stuff. Like we work for what we have. And so I think people really don't understand like how the pandemic really hit us.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of us, like you just heard me say, we don't have a plan B.
Right.
This was it. So once the pandemic stopped everything, it was like, whoa. And some of these people have children, they have mortgages, they have,
Right. Right.
so yeah.
How do you think the pandemic, now that we're kind of right in the midst of things and we've learned to pivot in some ways,
Mm-hmm.
how do you think the pandemic is going to impact the industry moving forward?
Oh, well, I can tell you for, an independent artist like myself, it has actually kind of helped because so financially when it first happened, of course, it was a bummer. And it still is financially for a lot of us. But as
Mm-hmm.
far as like being heard and being seen, most
Mm-hmm.
people are on their computers, they're on their, mobile devices, whatever that is. And we have probably been seen more than we probably ever have in the
Mm-hmm.
past because that's all they can do. Even music execs, there's no going out to clubs and going out. You don't have to be in LA or New York to really. Everything's online.
Right.
Social media is ridiculous right now. So I do think it has changed the way because they've had to survive doing this. Major
Mm-hmm.
record
Right.
labels have
Yep.
had to figure out how to survive, and they are figuring it out because if they didn't,
Right.
they would go under.
Right.
So I think the pandemic
A
in
different day.
some yeah, I think in some way it's weird. I always say, and people look at me confused. Yes, the pandemic was bad, but I think it was a blessing in a lot of ways. Not even just musically, but just in people, finding themselves and, just I think the pandemic was a good thing in certain aspects, but definitely has changed the music industry.
Now that's awesome. That's a good outlook and a good aspect to think about because you think that these people walk around making millions of dollars, and they do
Right.
because I mean, some of them do, but it's because you have the concerts and the TV
Right.
specials and all those things
Right.
that you can go and see and call and charge tickets prices for. And now you're limited pretty much to virtual concerts,
Right.
virtual appearances, and record sales.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So you
And
got
you're
to
right, they don't think about the behind the scenes people,
right,
Right.
right.
Who put that on. So
Right.
even the virtual concerts do help because you do have to have some type of production team,
Absolutely.
to put that together. But for the most part, yeah, I think the behind the scenes people were not thought about at all. You just look at the
Mm-hmm.
artist or the actress or,
Mm-hmm.
the front person and you don't think about the assistant
And what it takes
or
to
the
make it
manager.
happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Speaking of lots of work to make things happen, reimagining Michael Jackson's Thriller. How was that?
probably the most fun I've ever had in my entire life.
It really looked like it. It did.
Uh-huh.
Well, to know me is to know that I am a fan of Michael.
Okay.
So I had to do it. I had to do it. It was so much fun. It was a lot of work to get everything as close to Michael as possible. I'm not one of those people that like to redo things and kind of be like, oh, well, it's going to be my version of it. Yeah, but from a girl standpoint, because I'm a girl.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I wanted to try to keep as much as I could as authentic as possible to the video. But it was a lot of fun, just like Smooth Criminal was a lot of fun. I mean,
I did see that
Yeah,
one. I saw that one
that
too.
was a lot of fun. Engineering those shoes. A lot of people. How did you do that? Well, I have very good friends that help make that happen. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, especially learning his moves. People don't understand. Michael is a real live robot. I don't really know what else to say. Like, he's a genius. But
Yes.
like to learn his moves, like I've seen a lot of people learn Thriller and Smooth Criminal, and they learn at it. And it's one thing to learn at something, and it's another thing to learn the actual moves, and that takes a lot of time. But it was fun. It was fun. I was around a lot of people who loved Michael as well and wanted to make sure that it came off really well. So,
Nice.
yeah.
That is awesome. So, Back in Love from the
Yeah.
new Eric Benet and Tamia is what I'm hearing in these
Is
streets.
that what you're hearing?
Yeah, these streets
Yes.
talking. They talking.
Yes.
So, tell me the premise for Back in Love and tell me how it was to shoot this very, very nice sensual video.
So, Back in Love pretty much is about two people who have somewhat lost their way, and they're just trying to figure out, like, a lot of people give up. A lot of this generation, a lot of young people, they give up on relationships very easily. And sometimes you just have to figure out a way to get back in love. The love, to me, never really leaves. You just have to figure out, what was it about this person when you first started that made you fall in love with them in the first place. And so it was a very emotional, type of song that me and Brandon, both, also written by Felly, by the way. He's an incredible writer.
I like Philly because everything I heard from Philly, I have liked.
I like Felly too. He's a dope writer. But this was also shot in Memphis, downtown.
Yeah, I caught it. I caught it.
Yes, yes. And Brandon did a very good job at directing this, and B-Nod, who is the videographer for this, as well as for Deep and My Name and all the other things that I've done. So it was a pretty cool video to do, and it didn't take very long. We knew what we wanted to do, and it was very simple, to the point. We didn't want to confuse anybody, and we got it done.
So I get that Eric Benet and Tamia vibe. So
really?
so as a new artist, though, how do you feel about that?
Honestly, I'm honored. I mean, growing up, I listened to a lot of Tamia. And growing up as a girl, I thought Eric Benet was fine as wine.
Super fine.
That doesn't bother me one bit. No, I really think it's an honor. And I'm sure if Brandon heard that, he would say the same thing. It's definitely an honor to hear that. And I mean, it would be great. Hey, if we could meet them, we could link up and, sing and do some stuff. I think it would be awesome. But to reintroduce those people also to our generation, I think is dope, because they were a staple in my youth, especially in that R&B music. And I think we're missing that in this generation, like real R&B. And so to be compared to that, or for people to think about that when they hear the song, I think it's really, really dope.
A lot of our listeners, we talk a lot on this show about what it means to thrive and what it means to be successful, and how you kind of make it through life and what that looks like for every individual. What motivates you, and how do you define success?
Honestly, this may sound cliche, but family and like true happiness. I don't necessarily have to have all the money in the world to be successful. Successful to me doesn't mean fame and fortune, but it does mean if I'm able to touch people. And I know that sounds weird, but I had a moment, quick example of, I used to do weddings. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I used to sing at a lot of weddings. And I sang at this particular event that actually was a college party. And it was it was in Nashville. It was a big college party. And one of the young ladies, I was singing Roar by Katy Perry. I don't know if you guys have heard that song. And
that's your go-to, isn't it?
I love
Because
Right.
and the reason why I say that because there's a story behind Roar, right?
It is. So this is the story. I mean, because it really impacted my life.
Okay.
And when you say what success is for me, and this young woman, she said that her son committed suicide not too much before that, but that was his favorite song. And she came to me and she cried and she just said how much it meant to her to feel like her son was there. And you just never know when you're singing or when you're doing things. To me, I'm just on stage singing, and that's what it was prior to that. But after that, I felt some sense of responsibility. So for me, success is that. It's as long as I'm using what I'm doing for good and I'm touching people, that's what success is. And I know that I'm going to touch not only people that I don't know, but I hope that I touch even my family, you know, and that will bring the other part of it, which is happiness. So.
Wow, that's powerful.
That
hit me.
That's deep.
That impact, knowing that your music is meaningful.
Right.
Yeah.
So
right.
What should we expect in 2021 from Jessica Ray?
Ooh, everything.
I know that's right. Claim it. Take it.
Right? I mean, I definitely want to do like a 5.0 version of Raw. Like, I want to take it to another level.
That's what's up.
Definitely releasing more music for sure. And I'm hoping, like, I'm just going to go on and speak endorsements and commercials.
Yes.
I want it all.
Claim it. Put it out there. Yep. She's speaking, folks. Jessica Ray has said it.
It's going to happen.
Yes, I want it all. Yes.
That's fantastic. So, Jessica, thank you for speaking with us today. And our listeners are super excited to hear from you. All right, Jessica, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon. All right, Adrian, I think, you know what? I think that we did preach a word to the folks today.
All right.
Good conversation.
And we want to hear how you're thriving.
Right.
So let us know. Let us know. What's your definition for success? What does it take for you to thrive? What has been your experience? We want to hear that from you. So share it with us so that we can learn from your experiences and other people, some of our other listeners and thrivers can learn as well.
Right. And look us up on Instagram, Facebook, and send us emails. Because we do want to hear your success stories. And, you know, we also want to hear those things that you may be struggling with because, you know, we may be young, but we've been through a whole lot of trials and tribulations that we can tell you how to overcome some of these humps. I'm just telling you.